From kiosk to franchise, finding the right employees to grow your entrepreneurial ventures and businesses. So I'm Loral Langemeier, financial strategist, advocate for so many people in business and money, finance, and all related here on this channel. So we're going to talk through some of the Ask Loral questions. Gabriel asked a question around his wife, and we're going to go into some very educational topics on how to answer the question, deeper than I do on an Ask Loral and more from an educational standpoint. So the question about how do you go from a kiosk to a franchise comes from Gabriel, who says, my wife has started a small nail business running out of a kiosk at a mall. Very cool, actually. She's having a difficult time finding the right team members to help free up her time to focus on scaling the business. And that means scaling means marketing and sales. That is what she needs to be doing, is creating contracts, consistent contractual revenue, reoccurring revenue, clients coming back. Her job needs to be more on the business, not in the business doing the nails. That's where she is. She has programs in place. She has an hourly wage with a 1 or 3% commission, along with paying the team members to get their nails and eyelash technician certificates. All that's great. Her goal is to have these same people be in her future locations as partners. Suggestions to be helpful and to pull the correct people in to see the bigger picture. Let's break this way down, because right there, I'll tell you the 911 mistake is finding the people that she wants to do the work to be your partner. And I'm going to explain that at the end, because to think you're going to find the same people that are going to do the work to then become a partner is 100%, 1000% the wrong idea. Again, at the end of the video, I'm going to explain why those are not the same kind of people, and you're not going to find those kind of people. The three things I'm going to talk about to answer Gabriel's question are just what are effective hiring strategies in general, whether it's nail salon or others, as well as the structure that it's got to happen around that. The second thing, the incentive programs to attract top talent. And again, top talent, the people doing the work, and business partners are not the same kind of person. They're very different people. Could they be the same? Maybe after years and years of conditioning. And then the last thing I want to talk about are the do's and don'ts of building a business team and a really strong team and a sustainable team. We've had teams around here for 10, 15. Some people have been around my, highest level strategist for almost 20 years. So how do you build those kind of people? I learned a lot working at the Rich Dad Poor Dad team. Prior to that, I was on a Chevron team. So I've seen it at high level corporate, Fortune 50 companies, and I've seen it in entrepreneurial companies. And the biggest overlay of all of this, how do you hire in an economy and an environment where the government's handing out money like water and allowing people that are homeless to live in bougie hotels and not on the streets? It's rough. And when welfare can pay as much as minimum wage or some wages, yes, some wages have increased, which is why inflation will probably stay high, because it's not really going to stay an inflation problem. Over time, it's going to be a wage hike problem because the wages are too high, which means the businesses have to pass through that cost. This is an inflation video about hiring, but I can tell you COVID changed the world in hiring. It is the number one thing I hear. I mean, not only with us, we have ads going on a regular basis for hiring since 2020. And most of the people that I talk to that come on that are trying to grow their companies, the lack of good employees, the lack of sustainable team is a huge part of the problem. So first of all, you've got to put some right ads in the paper. You've got to put the right word out on the street of the kind of workers you want. Do you want them to be remote? Obviously, Gabriel, these folks have to come park at a mall, go into the mall, and then work at a kiosk for a while. So in the beginning, I would say it's about pay and the kind of incentives that she puts into play. I love the training. I love some of those incentives. We'll get to that a little more on the next point. But where do you find good team? It's a great ad. I would go through any sort of recruiting agencies if you can. Again, you're looking at nail salons. The other, and probably one of my best strategies, is I recruit them from other great places. So I've recruited other people who work for other gurus, other people who are doing what I'm doing, and I recruit them onto my team. And I'm very, very aggressive about asking someone who's great at customer service, say at a restaurant. I'll say, do you want to continue to work in a restaurant environment, or would you like to come work in an office environment? And sometimes people will shift. So as the owner, you're in a constant search of people that want to come and actually learn a skill, a craft, a trade. So if you can create a training program, so somebody who just wants to work who has had no training, you don't have to be the one to do it, but can you either, here's how I paid for a lot of training, is I may pay for it up front, but over the course of the next year, how long have they stay, then they pay a certain part back. Now that's somebody that might become more of a partner, but most people don't think like that. They're either a worker or they're an entrepreneur. They're rarely the same person, and they're rarely the people who think like that. So in the pay section, I would pay hourly. I like your commission. I would do some extra, like I said, training incentives. So the main thing when you're hiring is you want to strengthen your strengths and hire your weaknesses. So what are you not good at? And I can tell you as the owner, and I work with a lot of coaches, a lot of authors, and like, yeah, but I love to do the work. I love to do the work too, and I still love to do the work. So I still do a portion of coaching and facilitating and training, and I supplement with a lot of other subs. Why? Because I need to be running the company. So for Gabrielle and your wife, she's got to start running the company. So I would go up above and I would say, so what does she do for some incentives? I mean, the incentives could be on them also recruiting more people. You could pay them in a referral. You could pay them for bringing on other people. We've recruited people from other, say, call centers or other customer service centers. And as they brought more people, they get a $500 bonus if that person stays for 90 days. So there's all sorts of different incentives and referrals you can put into your structure. But more importantly, I want to talk about that structure. So if you're not incorporated, an LLC, an S Corp, C Corp, limited partnership in the United States. So those are US-based company names. In Canada, they're different names. They're corporate structure. They're called number companies. In Australia, they're limited proprietaries or proprietary limited. So every country in the world has corporate structure. But even in a nail salon, I mean, you could hurt somebody, cut somebody, and you could be sued. So before I start any of this, I want to go back, Gabrielle, and say, is your wife corporately structured? Does she have a company that has the contract with the mall? And then inside of that, every different kiosk, depending on where she is and different staff and or different partners. So what I would look for if I'm looking to partner with somebody is money, right? I don't know if you want somebody that has brains, you could partner with somebody that's actually bigger, or you could partner with somebody that has money. But the corporate structure should be, say you have 3 different investors, it would be 3 different corporate structures at, say, 60% to Gabrielle's wife or 70%, and then you give a percent to the money. So those are different people than the people doing the work. So for them to partner in, you'd vest them in. So what does vesting mean? They're going to come to work. They're going to put in their first year, 2 years. You might promise them by year 3, they can run and take over the kiosk and they can earn into up to 49%. You never want to lose control. So they can earn in. Do they have to contribute money would be a big factor, whether they can get up to 49%, or you might want to just leave it at 10 or 15%, but now they're earning equity, which is an override of the entire kiosk model. So there's a lot of ways to structure partnerships and money, but what I find about 100% of the time, there are people who just want to go to work and do their thing, and there are people who want to be entrepreneurs. You say, what's the difference? Well, I've seen this a lot because I do a lot of work in the service-based companies, chiropractic and dentistry, optometry. I've seen it where they're trying to replace themselves with a worker. That worker doesn't want to be the entrepreneur. So what does the entrepreneur have to do? They need to do all the marketing. They need to have the website, which, by the way, Gabrielle, if your wife doesn't have a website, in the link in the description below is a link called askrms.com, askrms.com. It's for askrapidmarketingsystems.com. It's the exact technical system I use that gets me tons of leads every month through social media, through engagement, and it actually was what creates the client. So I'd love to see, Gabrielle, if your wife gets incorporated, gets the Ask RMS system. It's only $2,500 for the whole year, and get some really good marketing so you're driving business in on specials. That's a better incentive than asking your staff to go recruit more and more clients. You let your website do it. You let your social media do it. Do testimonials. If you're in a kiosk, it'd be fun to take some videos right there. If you do have extra, say, skill sets inside of your staff who are doing nails, maybe they could do some of that social media posting as an extra pay or extra incentive to bring in more clients and give them some money for that. So if you are hearing me, you've got to get really creative about how you're going to find people, retain people, potentially let them vest into owning part of one kiosk. Now, if you come in with somebody that wants to do, say, 10 at once, don't go too big too fast. I've seen that happen and all of it collapse because your infrastructure is not ready for it. You're used to one kiosk, not 10. So you want to grow into that very strategically and very planned. But again, the entrepreneur does the marketing, which means generates the leads. They typically do the sales. They are doing all the accounting and cash flow. So marketing, sales, and cash flow are 3 entrepreneurial skills that most People who just want to do nails, they want to do their nails, do their manicure, pedicure, or whatever the treatments are, and go home. They don't want to have to worry about where the clients are coming from, where the cash flow is coming from. So to find that same person is going to be very rare. And I don't find about 99% of the time, they're not the same. You have a worker or you have an entrepreneur. And I've seen this with Kairos. If you go the other way and you hire somebody who wants to be too entrepreneurial, all you're doing is training them to go compete with you because they're not going to come and be their partner. I've seen that more in the chiropractic space. Like I said, dental, optometry. They bring in somebody who's more like them, who wants to be the entrepreneur, wants to own the practice, wants to own the kiosk alone. They're just learning from you. They're going to be gone and go compete. You have to watch that strategy and make sure that you don't have somebody too entrepreneurial. Then you have nobody doing the work. Now you have two chiefs and no Indians. No one's doing the work. The biggest challenge right now is hiring. And how do you get people to go to work? I don't know. The world is the most unmotivated world that I've ever seen and worked in. People usually had big goals and big lofty dreams and things they wanted for them and their family. It's shocking how many people just settle for nothing lately. Like, don't care, don't have any right to contribute. And I don't know how spiritual any of you are, but I always have to take a pass when I have that conversation. Is God gave you amazing gifts, and why are you sitting on your rear doing nothing with them? Is, to me, that's the most offensive thing you could do, is do nothing when this world has more problems right now. And who's the best entrepreneurs? The people who look at problems and find answers to solve those problems and bring it to the world. So what problems are you solving, or are you just sitting around? Don't know. I'm also speaking to those of you who aren't doing anything. But I can tell you, Gabriel, I love the business idea that your wife has started. It's very, very scalable. How do you scale? You're going to scale through money, number one, through a very, very strategic business plan, a very clear strategy plan, a tax plan so you're not overpaying taxes. Each of the kiosks in our model would probably be their own corporate structure with their own team and potentially their own investors. So there's a whole way to scale this into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Look at Massage Envy. That thing is making millions a month. You say, yeah, but it's a bunch of massage people who work for like 20, 30 bucks maybe for the massage, and they're charging, 40, 50 bucks. Exactly. So the low-cost models work in volume. Low-cost models don't work in expanding if you're not going to actually go big. If you're not doing volume, you don't want to be the cheapest one-person kiosk on the street. You're never going to grow. You're never going to make enough money, and it's going to be worse than actually having a job because you've just added some marketing, sales, and cash flow having to do on your side of the house. There's just too much work to do. And you're going to get burnt. You're not going to want to do it. You're going to give up. The other side of this, Gabriel, we haven't talked about. You didn't ask in the question, but I want to address it, is the sale. This is a very sellable, scalable business. And you could scale a 5-time multiple on this if you did it right. We'd love to help you. So all of you out there, if you're wondering, well, how do I get some of Loral's help? In the description below is free 3 chapters of my Millionaire Maker book. I need you to read it. Then fill out a gap analysis, call our office, talk to our team about how we can help you in any of these areas, from making money, keeping money, investing money. Get to our Millionaire Intensive. I'm going to give you 2 tickets here on my YouTube channel. I give tons and tons of gifts away. So I want you at our Millionaire Intensive to see, what do we mean by living this way? So yeah, you can have a job. Like maybe, Gabriel, you have the job and your wife has this entrepreneurial venture, but if it's not incorporated properly and structured properly, she's got liability and she's got taxes that are way too high. I want you all to write this down. Just overpaying taxes at $10,000 a year. You overpay for 20 years, just $10,000 a year. You paid the IRS over $1 million you could have put back into your own investment cycle, and you didn't. So let's get this from the beginning, get it right. We don't care where you are. We meet you where you are. We take you where you need to go, depending on what you want. So for those of you who are loving this conversation, at any point, if you have questions, go to askloral.com, ASKLORAL, ask questions, make a request. Also, be here on my channel, subscribe, click that notification button. I want you here 5 days a week. I want you to share this with 5, 10 other people. And for many of you, the best knowledge out here on the internet is right here on this channel. I want you to binge watch. So what I do for those of you that are willing to binge watch 25 hours, and I promise you, you're doing that right now. You're doing it to Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, whatever you're doing. Park that for a moment and do 25 hours on my channel. And we're going to give you $750 of credit towards a new tuition of whatever we can do to help you move your financial life forward. So Gabriel, I hope that helps you and your family make some new decisions. Call our office, have a conversation with us. We're here 5 days a week. I hope you are too. Talk to you tomorrow.